Hello to all lovers of scary stories. Today, I've prepared 3 horror stories that will keep you up tonight. Please, comment down below from where you watch and what time it is. Also, subscribing and liking the video will help me a lot. Please use headphones for the best experience. Back to the video. Miles away from the nearest town, nestled deep within the pine-thick hills of Vermont, stood the Ashcroft estate. The mansion was an aging behemoth of stone and wood, its windows shuttered, its halls thick with the smell of old cedar and forgotten time. It had once been beautiful, lavish even, but now it wore the gray shroud of disuse like a mourning veil. The estate had been empty for years. Until Morgan Fletcher, a 29-year-old writer battling a severe case of burnout, decided to rent the place for the winter. Her editor had insisted she escape the city to finish her overdue manuscript. Morgan didn't argue. She needed the silence, the solitude. But she didn't expect the estate to come with a housekeeper. When she arrived, a thin woman in her late 60s greeted her at the door. Dressed in a plain gray dress with her gray hair tied neatly back, she introduced herself as Miss Dalka. "I've looked after Ashcroft for decades," she said with a faint Eastern European accent. "I'll keep the firewood stocked and meals prepared. I come and go, but I'll never be far." Morgan found it strange. She had requested complete isolation, but Miss Dalka was persistent, and something in her calm, ancient demeanor put Morgan oddly at ease. 3 days in, Morgan discovered the mirror. It was in the attic, covered by an old velvet curtain. Something about the frame caught her eye, dark mahogany with carvings of ravens and thorns. When she pulled off the curtain, she gasped. The mirror was beautiful, impossibly pristine despite the dust and rot around it. More than that, it felt alive. Morgan began seeing odd things in the reflection, not her own movements, but delays, flickers, a shadow that didn't belong. She laughed it off at first, thinking it a trick of the light or her overtired mind. But the mirror showed her writing. Completed paragraphs she hadn't typed yet. It showed her walking into rooms she wasn't in. Sometimes it showed Miss Dalka standing behind her when she wasn't. One night, the mirror whispered her name. When she confronted Miss Dalka, the woman grew very still. "You found the mirror. It's just an antique, right?" "No." Miss Dalka's eyes turned cold. "It was not meant to be uncovered. It watches. It remembers." Morgan pressed her. The housekeeper finally relented, but only gave her 3 rules. First, never look into the mirror after midnight. Second, never ask it questions aloud. And third, if your reflection moves without you, cover it. Immediately. Morgan laughed, but didn't disobey. Not at first. It was January 13th when she broke the first rule. Writer's block had her up late. The fire was out. Her fingers were cold. She went to the attic to fetch her notes and caught her reflection in the mirror. It was 12:07 a.m. She saw herself, but not quite. Her reflection was smiling. She wasn't. The smile widened. Morgan froze. She slowly lifted her hand. So did the reflection. But slower. Delayed. Like it was thinking first. It mouthed something. Her name. Morgan yanked the curtain back over the mirror and fled. That night she dreamed of being trapped behind glass, screaming. The next day she dug into the estate's history. Old newspaper articles revealed a string of bizarre deaths. Each tenant either disappeared or died mysteriously, often found staring into mirrors, eyes gouged or missing. One story stood out. 1897, the original owner, Thomas Ashcroft, had commissioned the mirror from a Romanian artisan rumored to practice dark folk magic. The mirror was a gateway, the article claimed. To what, it didn't say. Morgan asked Miss Dalka again, this time demanding answers.
I am not the housekeeper.
Miss Dalka whispered.
I am the jailer.
What's in the mirror?
My sister.
She told Morgan a tale of twins. One human, one cursed. A mirror had separated them at birth, one trapped inside, one in the world. But mirrors crack, and the wrong twin had found a way to whisper. Morgan tried to leave the estate the next morning. Her car wouldn't start. Her phone had no service. The roads were snowed in. Miss Dalka was nowhere to be found. Only the mirror remained. The attic door slammed behind her that night. She hadn't gone up there willingly. The mirror was uncovered again. Morgan saw herself, but thinner, grayer, wearing the gray dress Miss Dalka always wore. The reflection raised its hand. Morgan didn't. The mirror image smiled. Then the room grew cold. The reflection stepped forward, out of the mirror. Morgan screamed. It didn't matter. The creature lunged, and in a blink, she was falling backward into the glass. She hit the floor of a mirrored world, cold, silent. Her hands pounded the inside, but there was no sound, only the image of her own bedroom. The creature, her double, was already walking away. Now she wears the gray dress. Now she keeps the fires lit. Now she cooks the meals. Morgan is the new housekeeper, waiting, watching, trapped behind the mirror. The house on Graven Hill had sat untouched for decades. Even local kids, drawn by dares and teenage boredom, never stuck around long. There was something about it. Some called it haunted, others said cursed. But no one stayed overnight. It wasn't an old Victorian, not one of those haunted house cliches with creaking turrets and weeping willows. It was worse than that. A cold, flat, two-story structure from the 1970s. Functional. Boring. Ugly, even. Its windows were the worst part. All covered, all except one. That window, top floor, far left, was jet black. Not tinted, not broken, just black. Opaque. Like it drank the light. No one ever saw inside it. And it was the only part of the house that never seemed dusty. Ellis Crane was a quiet man in his late 30s, a data analyst, neat, obsessive, controlled. He had no wife, no kids, and no desire for either. So when he inherited the Graven Hill house from a second cousin he barely remembered, he saw an opportunity. Fix it, flip it, move on. He moved in the first week of October. It was cheap, silent, just what he wanted. For the first few days, he set up routines. Coffee at 7, emails by 9, cleaning in the afternoons. The place needed work, worn carpets, cracked walls, but it was manageable. Except for the black window. He didn't like it. When he tried to open it, the latch wouldn't budge. When he knocked, it made no sound, no echo. He held a flashlight to it from inside. Nothing. Just a matte void, like staring into an abyss. He called a contractor. The man took one look at the window and said, "That's not glass. At least, not any glass I've seen." Ellis laughed, nervously. The man didn't. "I wouldn't live here," he muttered before leaving. "There's something off, about the air." On the 6th night, Ellis heard footsteps upstairs. He froze. He was alone. The house had no tenants, no neighbors nearby. Creak, creak, creak. He climbed the stairs, flashlight in hand. The sound came from behind the black window, from the room it belonged to. But that door, he had locked it, hadn't he? He opened it slowly. It was empty, just boxes, dust. A small wooden desk beneath the black window. He stepped in and felt it instantly. Pressure, like being under water. The air was thick, heavy. It hurt to breathe. Then he noticed the walls. They weren't the same color as the rest of the house. They were slightly darker, as if they absorbed light. He left quickly, locking the door again. That night, he had his first dream. It was of the black window, from inside. Something stood behind it, watching.
Ellis stopped cleaning, stopped eating regularly. He became consumed by the black window. He Googled everything.
Windows that won't let light through. Haunted architecture. Oculus obscura. He found nothing that resembled what he had. Then he heard it. Whispers from the locked room. He would stand outside the door at night, ear pressed against it. The words were unintelligible, garbled like static, but he began to hear patterns. A name. His name. And laughter. Childlike, but wrong. He dreamed again. The black window opened this time, and through it came hands, thin, gray, long-fingered. They grabbed him, pulled him through. He woke up on the floor, bleeding, deep scratch marks along his arm, 3 long lines. His door, still locked. He installed cameras. The next morning, the footage showed static between 2 and 3:06 a.m. Nothing more. But in the last frame, just before it went black, there was a figure standing behind him in the hallway. Face blurred, unmoving. The timestamp? 2:59 a.m. Ellis stopped sleeping. He tried to leave the house, but his car wouldn't start. When he called a cab, no one showed. He even tried walking, but the road seemed longer, as if the hill stretched. Every attempt to escape ended back in his living room. Same couch, same black window above him. On the 10th night, the whispers stopped. He opened the room again. This time the window was cracked. A hairline fracture down the middle like a spider web. He touched it. It was warm. Then he heard something behind him. He turned, slowly, and saw his own face staring back. But it was wrong. Paler, smiling. "I'm almost ready," the thing said. "You've done well, Ellis." The door slammed shut. When he opened it again, the room was empty, but the desk had a new object. A key. To what, he didn't know. Yet. Ellis took the key and waited. That night the window opened. It didn't slide or shatter. It peeled like flesh, revealing not the outdoors but another room, identical to his, mirrored, but decayed. The wallpaper rotted, furniture broken, and standing in it dozens of versions of him, each whispering, "Come in." He stepped through and the window sealed behind him. Weeks later, a new owner bought the house, a woman named Lydia. The house looked fine on the outside, slightly musty, but nothing too strange. The first night she noticed something odd. One window was darker than the rest, and when she stood beneath it, she swore she could hear breathing. Then from upstairs, a voice, familiar, male, whispering, "Don't open it." But she already had.
There's something about late-night television that always unnerved me, even as a kid. The way the screen dims, the silence stretches, and strange infomercials flicker in from nowhere. It feels like you're watching something you shouldn't. Like the TV knows you're alone. Like it's watching back. That's why I stopped falling asleep with the TV on. Until last month. I just moved into a new apartment. A real shoebox, 3rd floor, end of the hall, bare white walls, weird water stains on the ceiling, but it was mine. The first place I ever had by myself. The first night I stayed there, the silence was unbearable. No roommates, no footsteps above or below,
Just me, the refrigerator humming, and the wind tapping the window. So, I turned on the TV. I didn't even care what was on. I just wanted background noise. It flickered to life, brighter than the rest of the room. The glow settled me. That night, I fell asleep to static. Not an actual channel, just white noise. I must have flipped too far up and hit one of the unused ones. Still, something about it felt comforting. That didn't last long. By the third night, I started waking up in the middle of the night. Every time, the TV would be glowing faintly, still on the static channel. But now it had sound, low and broken, almost like a voice trying to form words under the hiss. I'd sit up and stare at it. For a long time, I told myself it was just the TV searching for a signal. But that didn't explain why it would only happen around 3 a.m., or why the volume seemed to grow each night, even though I never touched the remote. On the fifth night, the voice spoke. I was half asleep when I heard it, a whisper buried in the noise. "You're watching me." My eyes snapped open. At first, I thought it was a dream. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes. The static crackled on screen, same as ever, but I could feel something change, like the air itself had gone heavy, dense, like I was being stared at. Then the voice came again, louder this time. "I see you." I launched out of bed and yanked the TV cord from the wall. The screen died instantly, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, I bought a new TV. Different brand, different remote, set it up fresh. That night, I made sure I turned it off before bed and even unplugged it, twice. Still, at 3:03 a.m., I woke up. The TV was on. No glow at first, just the sound, that fuzzy, scratching voice. "Let me out." I flicked on the light. The screen glowed dimly. Static, but not white. This time it was gray, like fog. And shapes moved in it, quick shadows, barely visible unless you stared too long. I left, right then. Didn't even put on shoes. I stayed with a friend for a few nights. Alex again? My one friend who didn't ask questions when I showed up looking like I hadn't slept in days. "I know how this sounds," I told him. "You're stressed, maybe grieving," he said. "I'm not grieving anything." But I was lying. There's something I hadn't told anyone, not even him. Last year, my younger brother Mason went missing. He'd been off the grid for months, last seen in his own apartment just 3 cities over. The police found his place untouched, nothing stolen, no signs of a break-in, but his TV had been on. Static channel, the same one I'd been seeing. I went back to my apartment the next day, told myself it was just paranoia, just trauma echoing. I brought Alex with me for backup. The TV was unplugged. "See?" he said. "Nothing to worry about." We sat for a while. The place felt normal again. But then I saw something on the screen. Even though it was off, the faintest handprint was visible in the glass, like someone touched it from the inside. Alex didn't see it. He thought I needed rest. He left. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen watching the EV from across the room. I kept it unplugged just to be sure. No remote, no signal, just dead glass. At 3 a.m., it turned on. I swear to you, I watched it happen. The screen sparked to life, even though there was no power, static, foggy, and gray. The handprint faded in again. Then another. Then a face. Just for a second. Eyes like voids, mouth wide open like it was screaming, though no sound came out. Then it cut to black. The next day, I threw the TV away. Literally carried it to the dumpster behind the building. That night, I slept better. Dreamless. Quiet. Until the phone rang. Old landline I never used. Never gave the number to anyone. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Silence. Then static. Then the voice, clearer than ever. "You left me behind." I haven't turned on a television since. I sleep with the lights on, the phone unplugged. I've started hearing the static in other places, in the sink drain, the hum of the fridge, the whir of my laptop fan. Like it's following me, or like it was never in the TV at all. Just now, as I write this, my laptop screen flickered. For a split second, it showed a gray face, twisted and grainy, like it had been recorded on an old VHS. I'm starting to think it was Mason, or what's left of him, and now whatever took him wants me too. You're watching me.
I live alone. That fact is important. I moved into this apartment 6 months ago. It's nothing fancy. 3rd floor, end of the hall, creaky floors and yellowed walls. But it's quiet. Or at least it was. The first time I heard it, I was lying in bed around 2:30 a.m. The building was dead silent. Then came 3 slow knocks from the other side of my front door. Not pounding, just deliberate. Knock. 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 I froze. I live alone. I wasn't expecting anyone. No footsteps in the hallway before or after. No shadow under the door. I waited, heart racing, and after 10 minutes of silence, I chalked it up to a dream or old pipes. The next night, same time, same sound. 3 knocks. I didn't move. I started locking both deadbolts after that. Didn't stop the knocking. Every night, exactly 2:33 a.m. Knock. 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 I looked through the peephole once, nothing. Tried opening the door right after hearing it, nothing. Then I did something I now regret. I started speaking back. "Who's there?" I whispered one night, leaning against the door, palms flat on the cool wood. Silence, until a voice, soft and raspy, barely audible. "Let me in." I backed away. Didn't sleep. The next night, I stayed up with my phone camera recording the hallway through the peephole. Nothing showed up, not on the recording, but I heard it again. "Let me in." I told a coworker. He joked it was just a weird neighbor messing with me. So I decided to test it. At 2:30 a.m. the next night, I sat in a chair facing the door, holding a flashlight and a baseball bat. Right on schedule. Knock. 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 I held my breath. The door handle moved. Not a twist, a slow, deliberate rattle, as if someone was trying it carefully. Then a whisper, louder this time. "You already did." I jumped up and opened the door with the bat raised. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Except there were footprints, wet ones, leading up to my door. Bare feet, no shoes, but the hall was bone dry, no rain outside. I followed them for a few feet. They just stopped, vanished. The next day, I installed a camera above my door, one that synced with my phone. That night, the knocks didn't come. Instead, the feed glitched, a frame of static, then nothing. I checked the footage later. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the screen goes dark. Then one single frame appears, a face, pressed right up to the lens, eyes black, mouth open. No one ever knocked. The door never opened. Somehow, in the middle of the night, something stood outside, watching. The final night I stayed there, the knocks changed. They came from inside the apartment, from a closet. I'd locked it. I always lock it, but the door was open an inch, and from the darkness inside came 3 gentle knocks. From my side of the door. Knock. 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 I didn't ask who it was. I ran. Never went back. The landlord called weeks later, said I left my lights on, said the neighbors reported knocking, always at 2:33 a.m. I live across town now, different place, different locks. Last night, I woke up suddenly. 3 knocks. Not from the front door. From the closet. And this time, it was already open.